Hi, I'm Beatrice Go and welcome to Rappler Talk. The Equestrian Association of the Philippines sent a SEA Games veteran team that saw them end a medal drought that the country has been experiencing since 2011. Today, we are here with individual gold medalist Colin Sequia and his co-silver medalist Ms. Tony Leviste and Ms. Joker Arroyo. They are here to talk about their SEA Games stint as well as the development and the future of equestrianism in the Philippines. Okay, so welcome everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're happy to be here.
Yes, and to start things off, congratulations on your SEA Games stint. So, Mr. Consequia, you won the individual show jumping event, and all of you won the team event. Am I right?
Correct.
Yes, we were silver in the team event.
Okay, so to start things off, let us have an introduction of each one of you. There, starting with Miss Joker.
Okay, introduction. So my name's Joker Arroyo. I'm 29 years old. I've been riding since I was 7. I'm based mostly here in the Philippines. I spend some time in Europe when I can. And my horse at the Southeast Asian Games was Concept TM.
Okay.
Colin John Sequia. I actually reside in New York for 6 months out of the year, and then Florida in the United States. My horse's name was Adventure E. It's an 11-year-old Dutch warm blood gelding. This was my first SEA Games, actually.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Wow, a debutante.
Yes, yes.
I'm Tony Leviste. I'm an equestrian. I've been representing the country since 1983. Don't count backwards how old that is. I would have been representing the country for a very long time. But I was happy to be part of this team with Joker and with Colin and with Kiara, who is not here at the moment because she's studying in Paris. But we had an incredible time in Kuala Lumpur. And we look forward to more championships where we can bring home medals for the country and make the country proud.
Yeah, so what is the name of your horse?
The name of my horse at this SEA Games is Laribri, and she's only 8 years old, so she's quite young, quite green for the competition. But she did her best, and we helped the team win a silver medal.
I see. So, sir, this is your first time competing for the SEA Games, and for Miss Joker and Miss Tony, when was the last time you competed in the SEA Games?
We rode at the 2011 Southeast Asian Games in Jakarta, Indonesia, where we were the team silver medal there. Tony was individual silver, and another rider from the Philippines, Diego Lorenzo, was individual gold.
I see. So it's been how many years? Six years since you haven't competed in the SEA Games. And last year in 2015, the EAP chose to send rookies instead of veterans. Do you know what the motive of sending veterans out this SEA Games?
Well, like I said, it was such a great honor and fulfilling feeling to have ridden with such veterans like Joker and Colin. Colin, even if it's his first time to ride for the Philippine team, he is our most experienced rider, in fact, and we feel very confident that he's now part of the Philippine team. And we feel stronger as a team when we go to our next championships, which would be at the Asian Games next year in Jakarta in 2018. And hopefully we field a team as well for the World Championships, which will be in Tryon, North Carolina, USA. And if ever we do go as a team there, it would be the first time that a Southeast Asian country would be fielding a team at the World Championships. So sending a veteran team or an experienced team to any championships, whether it's the Southeast Asian Games, the Asian Games, the Olympic Games, or the World Games, means that we have stronger chances, of course, at bringing home medals for the country. And it's like sending soldiers to a war. Not that we are at war in sports. Of course, it's all done in sportsmanship and in harmony and camaraderie with the other nations. But we're there representing the country, and it's a battle for us. And we're there always trying to bring home the medals and hopefully the gold, which Colin did for us at this last games. So it's always the best idea to send your strongest riders, the most experienced riders, and we have to, of course, develop the young riders, the young talents that will carry on the legacy of Philippines equestrian sports in the future. But until they're ready, we have to send the strongest ones each and every time.
And I think right now, with all these upcoming championships that Tony's outlined, it's important for us to start to work together and gel as a team so that coming forward to the bigger events, we're already prepared together and know each other's systems so that we can be stronger when we go to the stronger events.
What's important is at the end of the day at a championship like this, we send the best representation of the country and a team that will give the country the best chances of a medal. At the end of the day, that's what it's about, because we want to bring medals home for the country and make the country proud. So in sending a team that has more experience, has a little bit more, has been doing this longer and knows what to do in a championship situation, we augment those chances. And that's what's best for us at the end of the day. And we have to continue that no matter what championship it may be, whether it's SEA Games, Asian Games, World Games, as Tony said. So that's what we need to be doing looking forward.
Okay. And then being an experienced team, how did you find the competition of the SEA Games, like the level of competition of it this year, this 2017?
I have to say that this year has been the most contested SEA Games we've ever had, like that I've ever participated in, and in any case, because the sport is growing all around the world, and in Southeast Asia in particular. I was surprised actually to see the horsepower that the other countries had. And in this sport, it's not just us as individual human beings. We're also always partnered with our equine athlete partners, which is the horse.
Our teammates.
So we have to be with the strongest partner that we could have at a particular games. And when we saw the horses from the other countries, I was surprised how much horsepower they had. So at the end of the day, in this sport, you're only as good as your best horse. So we were lucky that we had good horses, but the other countries had very good horses as well. We're lucky to have, like I said, Colin in the team because he had a good horse, but he was also the best rider there. That's why he came out with a gold.
Right.
You know, so we need to have strong combinations, strong horse and rider combinations. But the other countries like Malaysia and Thailand that won the
Indonesia,
bronze,
Singapore.
they're all buying better horses, and it's going to be even stronger
It
for
was
the next
impressive.
time.
It was impressive. They had good horses. They were organized. They really, I was impressed. It was my first SEA Games, but to see the level again of horses and everything, it was very impressive, and just again a lot of firsts. Right, there was a jump off for the
Right.
team
Absolutely.
competition.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we were all tied, jumping
Right.
off for the gold, which is I think was the first time
Exactly.
in history.
First time.
And then for the individual, there were 5 of us jumping off for the gold medal, which
Yes.
also was really unheard of. I mean, similar to what happened to the Olympics in equestrian when they had the jump off there for the first time. So, I mean, the level was high enough that there were so many people vying for these 3 medals, including the bronze.
Yes, because there's only 3 medals,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And there's so many riders, there's so many participants, and everyone wants to have 1 medal, and you can only have 3. So it was a very competitive field. We had
Yeah.
to ride our best, and we had to try to be the best.
Yeah.
I mean, universally, I mean, certainly across the world, not only is the technical level increasing, but the amount of effort that's put into the training and the preparation. People are basing themselves in Europe longer. They're buying more and more horses. I mean, the more practice you can get, the more experience you can get in the ring, that makes you a stronger combination with your horse and a stronger athlete as yourself. And other countries are investing so much money into this right now, so it's increased the level exponentially. Since the first SEA Games that I did in 2005, the game has changed completely. And we as athletes and within our sport, we have to continue evolving with those changes in order to stay at the top of our game. It's not easy, but you know, it keeps us sharp. We have to keep trying, and we have to keep doing our best to make ourselves as competitive as possible.
And speaking of preparations, so you guys trained in different parts of the world. So Sir Colin, you trained in the US, and then Miss Tony, you trained in Europe, and Miss Joker, you trained here in the Philippines. Am I right?
Yes.
So can you tell us more about your preparations and like how does it compare to that of your competition in the SEA Games?
Oh, you know what? The preparation for each individual is so unique at the end of the day, because it has the combination of the horse and rider. Each one is different. A good horse for one rider might not be a good horse for another rider. One rider might suit one horse super, and on a different horse it might be a complete disaster, right? So the preparation has to be tailor-made to that specific combination. So it's very difficult to generalize a training procedure or a training program for each one. Universally, okay, I would say it's important that to be going out and competing regularly, to say to stay in the rhythm of things, to continue getting experience, to expose the horse to a lot of things so that they stay ready for whatever situation that may be that they may face when they get to the actual championship. Then behind the scenes, aside from just the competition, there's the vet management by the vet. There's the management with the dentist, the osteopath, the chiropractor, all these things we have to do for our horses because they're also athletes. I mean, it's not just us. You can be a fantastic rider, but if the horse is not up to standard, then you're in a bad situation too. So, I mean, it's universally you could say that more or less people prepare in that same way, but it's a very unique setup for each one. It's a little bit hard to compare, but we're all competing regularly. We're all riding every day for hours and hours a day. Colin starts at 5 a.m. and he ends, I don't know what time during the day. I mean, he works unbelievably hard. And, we all have students. We're all teaching. We ride many horses in the day. But, I don't know how to answer that question with a very specific answer. But we make it adapt to make each one of us as individuals as strong as possible.
Having said that, to add to what Joker had already said, equestrian is a unique sport in all the world compared to the other sports because it's the only sport, number one, that where men and women compete equally against each other. There's no gender division. And even for the horses, both for the humans and the horses, there's no gender division. And so it makes it tougher in one sense because the girls have to compete with the guys, and there's also no age limit. I mean, you can be competing until you're 70. There's a minimum age limit. You have to be 17 or 18. 17 to compete in a championship. So that's the minimum age, but you can go on until your 70s because at the end of the day, the horses are the athletes, and we are like their trainers or their sailors, so to speak. And we have to always be in a partnership with the horse. So we are riding as a team, but individually we have to be in our best form with our teammate, which is the horse. So we can train in different parts of the world, like we don't have to train as a team to be a team. But when we get to the championship, we have to make sure that we and the horse, ourselves and the horses that we are bringing to the championships are in the top form because our collective scores will count as the team score. So it's not important that we have the same coaches, in fact, or the same horse management and the riding program. We can be competing in different parts of the world, but when we get together in the championship, we have to deliver our own performance to create the team score. So, and happily and luckily, when we all got to Malaysia, in wherever else we came from. I came from Europe, Joker came from Manila, Colin came from America. But when we all got there, we were ready for battle. And we were also very harmonious as a team because we were all there for one purpose. We had one objective, which was to see the Philippine flag flying high and bringing glory and honor to the country.
And for me, and more individually, once this opportunity presented itself, say in mid-December, when the idea came about that we would hopefully be competing together, I just planned backwards from August 26th, and I started a plan from December of resting my horse, then slowly bringing him back, putting him in competition shape, and then jumping one Grand Prix right before we went to Malaysia, and hoping that he'd be in peak form for the event. And luckily it all turned out. But I mean, that's the kind of planning you have to do. You can't just decide a month before, 2 weeks before you're going to go to a championship. I mean, to really lay it out, to do it properly, you have to have a plan months and months in advance. And you have to really target something and hope that you can get your horse and yourself to be in peak form the day of that event. And we were lucky enough on the team event that all our horses jumped well, and then we continued on to the individual, and adventure was amazing.
So when did the EAP call you guys to represent the Philippines in the SEA Games, if you need that much planning?
Joker,
that's
a
good question.
Answer that.
That's a good question. I mean, of course, we've done this for years already, so we're always looking to the next big goal, to the next big event, because what we love to do and what we want to do is to be able to represent the country and, like Tony said, fly the flag high for all of us and bring home medals for the Philippines. So we know the SEA Games is every 2 years, Asian Games is every 4 years, the Olympics is every 4 years, the World Championships is every 4 years. So we always have these big goals in mind. So like I told you actually when we discussed this previously, we're in a constant state of preparation. Whether or not we're called to do it, whether or not we're asked to do it, as individuals, we take the initiative ourselves to be ready in the event that we have to be ready. We're always training, and we give every competition the same importance as the major championships, because each competition that we do in the run-up to a major championship prepares us for that championship. So we don't treat things like throwaways. We don't, everything counts in everything that we do. We don't do things in halves. We have to give our 100% in each and every situation that we're put in. So we're ready all the time. And we make it a point to be ready all the time and to keep our horses as ready as possible within the parameters of what is reasonable and what is correct for these animals that we love at the end of the day. But we ourselves, we make sure that we're always at the top of our form. So it's not a question of when we're asked, or if we're asked, or how we're asked, but we know what we're always working towards. And whether or not it aligns with the goals of the federation here, or the sport, or whoever's in charge of the sport at the time, it's sort of independent of that. At the end of the day, we're ready. We know that no matter what.
But inevitably, dealing with associations or federations, I mean, it's still a political process, so it does take time, and you have to wait and go through the channels. So for some of us, it took longer. I mean, it was actually a little difficult for me to get through, but finally, through help of everybody here, I was able to get the approval from the association, and they were able to put us all together, including Chiara, who's not here, but then to form the team that actually went to the SEA Games this year, and that sort of delivered. So.
Okay.
Well said.
And you also mentioned international meets such as the Asian Games and the World Championships. What about the Olympics?
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
2020,
That's
Tokyo,
the goal.
then 2024, Paris. Like I said, you can be until 70 and still riding horses. But hopefully we can go as a team at the Olympic Games, not when we're 70, but sooner. So every Olympics, we always want to try to be part of the Olympics, because that's every athlete's dream.
Exactly, and I think I can speak for all of us here. I mean, this wasn't the end game. This was the first step.
Yes.
We're always looking
We're
ahead.
looking to take bigger steps and going forward. Yes, exactly.
We want to be better. We want to do more. We want to go further. I mean, this is just one chapter in the book, but the rest is still very much unwritten, and we have a long way to go.
It's the introduction.
Yeah, it's just the introduction.
This is so exciting. And Miss Tony, being a 2000 Olympian, like, what can you say about like the level of like competition you will be expecting by 2020? Like, that's after 20 years.
I'm not so sure what I'm gonna do next week. So in 2020, I know I want to be at the Olympics with these guys, because it would like make history, because it would be the first time that a Southeast Asian country would be represented as a team at the Olympic Games. And to have it in Asia, where hopefully more of our kababayans could come and watch us. That's why we had so much support in Kuala Lumpur, because they knew we had a strong team. They wanted to be there when we would be getting our medals, hopefully, and we did. And it was so heartwarming, that they flew all the way there to support us. So, of course, 2019 is first, the Manila Southeast Asian Games, and the whole country will be behind us then. So that's our first target for having support with the rest of the Filipinos, but to be able to qualify as a team for the first time as a Southeast Asian nation in Tokyo 2020, hopefully, God willing, would be a historical event. And I think I could speak for the rest of them, that would be our goal. So like Colin said, SEA Games was only the first chapter of the book. We are hoping to repeat and even do better at the Asian Games, at the World Championships, and the target, of course, 2020 Tokyo.
Okay, so we're moving on to the second part of our talk. So it's about equestrianism in the Philippines. So being veterans yourselves, can you introduce the sport of equestrianism? So what's the competition like? What are the events? So it's more technical, like.
Joker would be very eloquent to explain that for you.
Sort of simplify. You have to break it down a little bit in the beginning. To start with, there are three main disciplines in the equestrian sport, at least Olympic disciplines in the equestrian sport, which is the jumping, which is what we do, dressage, which, grossly speaking, people would generally describe as dancing horses, and then eventing, which is a combination of the dressage, the jumping, and what's called cross country, where the horses have to jump across a natural track, over a long distance, and that's those are the three main disciplines. So we, as the Philippines, this year, we had our jumping team, of course, and we had Ina Ayala, our representative in dressage, as an individual. So that's, generally speaking, a good place to start.
Right. And basically in the show jumping, we had two competitions, the team and the individual. And so as a team, we all jumped over a same course of obstacles together, well, individually, but our scores were combined. And then after 2 rounds, those teams that were tied on the same amount of penalties had to jump off. And that's like a speed round against the clock. And whoever had the fastest combined times with the least amount of penalties was the gold medalist. And then the second place was the silver. And then the third was the bronze. And then the top, 15 riders from the team competition were allowed to continue on to the individual event after a day off. And those 15 riders, again, competed as individuals, and those who had the top scores, top 10 of us, came back again for a second round. And then whoever was tied there went in a speed round, and then the fastest one with no penalties won, and then second and third for the silver and bronze. So.
And I want to point out that Colin Sequia was 4 seconds faster than the silver medalist, which in show jumping is
huge.
Like a lifetime.
It's huge.
You know, so he just didn't win the gold; he blew it out of the park, so to speak. You know, so it was a very clear victory, and that sort of intimidated the other riders, the other countries. I think that, my gosh, the Philippines is a strong contender. I mean, we have to be on our toes now. We can't be complacent, as we can't be complacent, because now they're watching out for us once again. And they're going to be more ready for the next championship. And so we have to be a step ahead. And we have to be also more ready.
Always evolving,
Exactly.
improving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, where can we find the different equestrian clubs in the Philippines who actually develop these players? Like, in order for the Team Philippines to be a much stronger team, as you said, we are intimidating right now.
So I have a lot of students, and I spend a lot of time teaching at the Manila Polo Club in Makati, of course, and then that would be the primary venue for competition here in the Philippines. Like, at this moment, normally I would say we have a competition almost every weekend, whether it's jumping or dressage. So the sport is going, and so I split my time between there and Tony's farm, of course, which is in Lipa.
So I have my own farm, which is called La Vista Equestrian Park in Lipa, Batangas. And with Joker, we work together in building like the grassroots of young riders, and hopefully they will represent the country in the future for us, because we cannot, of course, even if we can do this until we're older, we would like to have the younger generation also aspiring to be representing the country in other championships, even in not necessarily the Southeast Asian Games or the Asian Games directly, because we're still around. But the young riders should also be competing in other international shows like invitationals and borrowed horse shows, and competing internationally already as young riders, so that when they're ready for the Southeast Asian Games and the Asian Games, they would feel as ready as they can be, and also be strong contenders and bring home also medals for the country. So we have to build them up while they're young, because that's how it all starts. And sports is always a good vehicle for the youth, you know, to learn discipline, dedication, and determination. Traits that you don't learn in a classroom, but you can learn in a sporting arena. So equestrian, of course, is our sport, and it taught us so much, and we want to be able to give back what we've learned and what we've experienced and what the sport has given us to other riders in the Philippines, and so that they will aspire to one day also represent the country and become Olympians.
The satisfaction that comes, I mean, I love to ride, and that never fails to give me pleasure every day. But since I've started to teach more and more, I have to say that the satisfaction that comes from seeing your students progress and realizing that they also can go far and achieve the same goals that you had when you were young, it's a completely different ballgame. So then your goals become sort of parallel. Not only do you want to achieve these goals for yourself, you want these for your students as well. And this sport has to grow in this country right now. We have so much potential to be successful, but we need to channel it in the right ways. And as Tony said, we need to give our young riders as much experience and as much exposure as possible, aside from, of course, the technical skill and the knowledge that they need to be effective as riders. But the experience and exposure are what separate a good rider or a normal rider from one that's going to be great and one that's going to be exceptional. And that's something we need to be working towards every day. Colin himself, he teaches so many students in the U.S., and I mean, I'm sure that he has the same goals for them. The success is not only for us, but it's for them also.
Definitely, and it's our responsibility to give back to the sport and to the nation, and also to be role models, to be mentors to these kids that want to start following in our footsteps, hopefully. Mm-hmm. And so not only are we competing for ourselves, but we're competing for the future of equestrian sports in the Philippines. So I mean, it's something that these two ladies are excellent at already, but I think combined, what we can add and help, again, promote the sport and be willing to be the face of it here in the Philippines, and to make them proud and aspire to be hopefully like us, so one day.
Well, we all want to be like him.
Well,
so that's what we're aspiring for.
In this moment, to be 4 seconds faster.
And Sir Colin, you gave a training camp here in the Philippines?
Clinic yesterday, yes, at the Polo Club. And it was great. It was nice to see the riders here. They had nice horses. They were all very receptive, good students. Both of their students, Tony and Joker's, they were super. It was a nice experience.
Joker and I felt that it was important for the young riders here to meet our gold medalist, because it was the first time would be the first time to meet him in person, and everybody enjoyed the clinic. They thought that he was a fantastic teacher. So I would also book a lesson next time.
You just didn't have enough time this time. Otherwise, we'd both be riding.
And luckily, there's a show at the Polo Club on Saturday, so we'll be there and assisting with the kids while they're showing, and it should be fun.
Yeah. Everyone take note on Saturday at the Manila Polo Club. Okay, and so in relation to grassroots programs, so who are the up-and-coming young riders we have today in the Philippines?
Many, honestly. We have there. Like I said, there is so much potential in this sport right now. It's just a question of getting them on the right path in terms of the right shows, the right horses, the right training program. I have many. Okay, I won't say young riders, but like I have many young riders that would be teenagers and younger, and even riders that are a little bit older than myself, but are still ambitious and still wanting to do so much in the sport. Age is not limiting here. It's just a question of what you want to do and the extent that you're willing to work towards doing that. The sport has unlimited potential here for so long as we're able to channel the right means and support necessary to make it a success, which we can, I think. We just have to be very determined about doing that.
And I think being open-minded, having broad vision, willing to step outside of the box, not wanting to just stay, say, in the Manila Polo Club, like branch out, go to Europe, come to the States, start to experience the sport a little more. That's all stuff that will help that just nurture the talent and bring it out of somebody, It's easy to be a big fish in a small pond.
Absolutely.
It's when you go into the ocean and have to fight for yourself. That's what makes a difference.
I agree completely.
Okay, so when someone wants to start in the sport of equestrianism, what is that one unique selling point of it, like that you would market to the person, like just one for each of you, like it can be personal.
For me, for example, I love animals. Since I was a kid, I loved horses, dogs, cats. I mean, anything that had 4 legs. I had more dogs than friends at one point, And so that's where it started, is that I loved being around the horses so much. Even as a kid, when you're riding, just the ponies in Tagaytay or in Baguio, I mean, that gave me so much pleasure at such a young age. And, when I started riding and taking real lessons, I was about 7 years old, and my parents thought it was just a phase, They're like, every little girl goes through the phase where they want to have a pony, and they like to have ponies, but they outgrow it when they start getting interested in boys or go to college. I mean, we're still here. We're still here because I still love animals, and that's what keeps me in this sport.
I agree. I think the love of the animals, and even for just kids starting who maybe don't go to the SEA Games or don't have aspirations, but teaching children or young adults responsibility, a dedication, having to take care of animals and see how they're doing and how the bond is going and take care of your own equipment. There's so much involved to, again, making responsible young adults or whatever that, again, maybe won't go to the games, but getting that background and working with the animals, it's a real blessing. They grow up to, I've had many students who rode until they were 18 and now they're off in college or graduating, gotten jobs, and they come to me and they say, thank you so much. You taught us so much about life, not just about horses, because it's like having a family, you know, it's like having a child, you know, your horse is your child, you have to go there, make sure he's okay, feeling well, or she's feeling well, or how they're doing. So it's a really big life lesson, actually, you know.
And to succeed in the sport, I guess like anything else in life, you have to have passion. It's all about that, because there's so much investment, commitment, and effort and energy and tears and blood and sweat involved to succeed, you know, in this sport. And you have to be dedicated, and at the end of the day, really you have to be passionate that this is what you want to do. And because we're still doing this, we're still at it and still have many goals, many other things that we aspire to achieve, it's our passion that drives us to do that, to wake up every morning, and it's the blood that goes to our veins.
Right.
We all want to continue riding.
And it gives you strength as a person, because just because you do everything like Tony said and you put all the time in, it doesn't guarantee you that you're going to win that day. You know, anything can go wrong, or you might not have a good day, or your horse can be off, but it just teaches you strength, inner strength, that even though that happened, your passion is going to allow you to go forward and continue and chase that goal no matter what. Again, no matter what it may be. It may be a SEA Games gold, a World Equestrian gold, Olympic gold, or you could be the best one in Joker's lesson, you know, and have the best round. It doesn't matter at what level, but that passion that drives you and dealing with adversity is really, it's unparalleled really compared to other sports, yeah.
And what is the future you envision for the Philippine equestrian team, or even the sport itself in the Philippines?
In terms of tangible, very real, very real goals for us, like we said, we have next year the Asian Games, and we hope to send a team to the World Championship. Tony's already qualified actually as an individual, which in and of itself is already a huge accomplishment. Then the year after that, we have the Southeast Asian Games again, and 2020 is the Olympics, and we keep going. 2021 is SEA Games, 2022 is the Asian Games, again the World Championships. We're never going to stop really at the rate that we're going. But concerning the sport within the country, it's so important at this stage that we develop a program that is very clear-cut for the young riders in terms of the technical skill that they have to acquire, the competition experience they need to acquire both abroad and locally. So that has to be a very step-by-step process, and acquiring the necessary support that allows them to achieve those goals. I mean, all of these things have to work together for it all to be success. We can't focus on one part of the program and neglect the others, because that doesn't create a complete rider. That doesn't create a rider that's prepared for every situation, or an athlete that is emotionally and mentally and in a position really to deal with the adversities that come with the sport. So there's a lot of things that we have to address, but we have to focus. We really have to concentrate and focus on what we're doing to make a very clear plan for each of those three pathways that we need to attend to. So it's technical skill, experience and exposure, and support, whether it's and I'm talking financial support, emotional support, everything that makes our riders strong and gives them every possible chance to succeed. And that's a very sort of generalized explanation of what needs to happen, but more or less, I think that's the path we need to be heading down on.
For myself, I have to say that I have never felt so inspired as I do now to have such a strong team. Like, I feel that when I start the training again for the next championship, which, like Joker said, is the Asian Games, then the World Games, and so on and so forth, I feel that we're going in there with a real fighting chance. And even if I've been representing the country since the 80s, and now it's 2017, and it's the new millennium, you know, but now more than ever, I feel that we're going in there as world-class athletes, because I feel that we have a really strong team now, and we're only there because we all have the same goals, and we are all determined, and we all have that passion, like I talked about earlier. And it's the first time I feel that we're going in there with the same goal, with the same motivation, and I'm so excited for the future of equestrian sport.
It's very exciting. I mean, I've always ridden for myself or my clients, and now to know that I'm riding for my teammates and my country, our country, I mean, again, it's also a renewed thing. I don't know how I could be more passionate, but probably I'm going to be. It's a great feeling. It's complete motivation, greater motivation, you know, going forward, to have finally these goals that seem like now they're within our reach, you know, to get to these championships. It's quite an exciting time, I think, for the sport in general.
And what Tony said is very important, actually, that we have the same goals and we have the same passion, we have the same love for this sport, because that unifies our vision. And of course, we're stronger when we have the same goals in mind and we're thinking in the same way and thinking in the same spirit. If each one has a different agenda, has a different objective, or thinks more selfishly than the other person, then it doesn't work. But together, we want to be strong together, because that's where we have the best fighting chance. Individually, we want to be strong, but we want to be strong so that we can be strong for one another and have a team that's in a position to do something great. And unifying that vision and unifying that spirit of what we want to do and what we want to accomplish, that gives us the best fighting chance. And that's how this sport has to continue forward, that we're all thinking in the same way and wanting to achieve the same things.
To add on to that, like what Haya had said and what Joker continued to say, is that we have the same goals. And our goal is to make the Philippine flag the star of the show. Like Colin won his gold medal, but we were all there supporting him.
We all
like,
won together.
We all
we
felt
all won
like his
together.
victory,
Yeah.
you know? And it was like, wow, we won. Even if it was an individual gold medal, it's like, we are the best, you know? And it was because our flag was flying high. It was the Philippine national anthem that was playing beside the two Malaysian flags that won the bronze and the silver. But the center stage was the Philippine flag. The Philippine national anthem was flying, and Colin was at the center of attention. And we felt that we were there with him, you know, that we all won because we all ride for one flag.
That's right.
And that is the greatest motivation of all.
Yeah. We have to be there for each other. They were there for me that day, and one day the roles will be reversed, and we'll all stand and support that person. I mean, we made a pact to stand together and fall together and pick each other up when we need to, and luckily in that event it all worked, you know, during the SEA Games. And that's just the beginning. Again, and like both ladies have been saying, to feel that everyone's so unified in the focus, it makes it just incredible. And to try and represent the Philippines and make, as Tony said, the Philippine flag in the star shine the brightest. I mean, that's our ultimate goal. I mean, and we're able to put aside our personal goals or desires and not have ulterior motives, but to just try and succeed together. You know, we enjoy everybody's success, and we feel everybody's, you know, sacrifices and losses or whatever. We all feel it together.
I have never felt this excited for the equestrian team of the Philippines. Okay, so that is all for today. So thank you again for dropping by.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, so the Philippine equestrian team dropped by the Rappler office to talk about not only their SEA Games stint, but also their thoughts on the development and the future of equestrianism in the Philippines, and their goal for qualifying for the Asian Games and the World Championships. I'm Beatrice Go. Thank you for joining us.